Welcome to another episode of the Co-op Connection Podcast. Today we are joined by Bill from Humble Elevator Services. Bill shines light on solutions to your elevator needs and how Humble Elevator can help our members on their next project. We hope you enjoy. Well, Bill, thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. We're very excited that you're here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And I mention this every episode. It's something that we like to do just as a short introduction to our members. But could you walk us through maybe a brief history of Humble Elevator and how long you've been in business maybe?
Yes. So Humble Elevator was started back in 1985 by Jack Parks.
Okay.
And it really started as a repair company to do like larger repairs for the bigger elevator companies. And then over time it progressed into picking up some maintenance contracts and just growing little by little. And I joined Humble in 2013 as their first salesperson ever. And then we started kind of like growing at a bigger rate.
You said 1985?
Yeah. So It's our 40 year
anniversary. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's funny, 1985, when we talk about it, it seems like a short while ago, but 40 years is a great history for you. Probably has helped you really build up a great reputation as well in that sense.
Yeah, I would like to think so.
Yeah, right. That's great. Well, in your point of view, when we talk about elevators, I think a lot of people have just that it's something that helps you go up and down, right? So It's either broken or it's working, but there's probably a lot more to that. So when you think of an elevator or an elevator project, or maybe some of the maintenance work that you do, what classifies things as successful in your industry? What's a successful elevator look like to you?
So that could be multiple things. Because really there's maintenance and then there's like repair work or modernizations. But like I would say on a modernization project, there's definitely steps to be taken.
Okay.
And like meeting with the customer, finding out, what the elevator needs, what they want, if they want to, because there's a lot of options. And like, do they want to do the inside of the elevator as well as the mechanics of it? But what we always do, like we walk them through the whole process, including getting the permit, getting it accepted at the end of the job, and just making sure the job is done completely
properly.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the things, we just had our meeting. You were able to kind of update our team on some things. And one of the things that was very interesting for us here is a lot of the work that you do is not just going in and just ripping out an elevator and putting in a new one. You're talking about it's this modernization of the elevator that's already there. Is that correct?
Yes. There's a lot of people think like, oh, our elevator's old. We need a totally new one. And you do in some sense, but that's what a modernization is. Like you're keeping the cab, you're keeping the rails, the cylinder, but you're changing all the other mechanics, the electrical, like all the elevator components, and that's what they call modernization. So you really are getting like a brand new elevator.
Sure.
But it's not literally taking it out and putting a new one in.
Okay. And so on that line, we could call it a misconceptions or maybe things that people, the general public, even myself, didn't quite understand until I was able to talk with you. But what are some other things that maybe our members might not know about that generally there's this misconception in your industry, but in reality you can help with such and such?
Misconceptions. I would say probably the biggest, or one of the bigger one is that a lot of times you're not locked into one particular company to maintain your elevator.
Okay.
Even though you may have been told like this is the only company that can work on it.
Okay.
So you definitely, most of the time you have options on different vendors to go with.
Interesting.
And then getting back to modernization, to me it's really important if you do decide to upgrade your equipment to make sure you're getting like solid non-proprietary equipment so you don't end up kind of getting tied in with a company long term.
So when you mention that, you don't want to get tied to equipment that's tied to one company, because then only that company could come do it. Right. So what happens if there's a break in customer service, or they're not going to get back to you? You come in with non-proprietary equipment, so that hopefully you're the one still doing the work. But if a member wants to switch or go a different direction, they're not tied into this.
Yeah, and they would have no problem getting another company to work on that equipment.
Okay. So we've got the modernization. That's a misconception. You don't just have to rip out your elevator and put in a new one. But then you said that just because they may have a service contract with somebody doesn't mean that you can't come out and take a look and help maybe do some modernization, or even help on that end.
Yeah, so it's kind of a thing that happens in the industry. Like, ideally, you don't really want, elevator companies don't want other vendors to work on their equipment.
Sure.
But it does happen all the time.
Okay.
And I think I gave you some examples earlier of jobs that we've gone in, and even though we don't have the maintenance contract yet, we have done repair work for them, modernizations, because with these contracts, sometimes you may be tied in for a couple more years, and you just kind of have to wait until you can make a change.
Yeah, I think we don't have to mention the name, but just one of the organizations that you're helping out with, they had maybe 4 that you're dealing with, but their service contract doesn't end until January, and they've just been having some issues with getting with that company. And so you're showing them, hey, we'll help still with whatever modernization you need, and in that, come January, you're probably going to be able to help with the service contract as well.
Yeah, so we modernized 4 of their elevators, and that does come with a warranty period. So, like, we don't have a maintenance contract yet, but they will just call us if they have any issues with those particular elevators.
Okay.
And we'll take care of it for them.
What does a warranty period look like for Humble Elevator? Is that change based off of what's going on, or is there a structured one?
I mean, it's basically just a 1-year warranty. After we're totally finished, the job gets accepted by a third-party inspector, and then like the warranty period starts.
Okay, great. And so when you talk about the maintenance plan, right, I think of an HVAC maintenance plan. You've got certain aspects to that, or if you have something else going on in your organization, what does an elevator maintenance plan look like? Is that monthly, quarterly? What goes on during that?
Yeah, it could be either monthly, quarterly. A lot of times with churches and schools, and we do a lot of work with churches and schools, and a lot of times they are on quarterly.
Okay.
Like, they don't want like too many visits, I guess.
Sure.
Because the elevator doesn't get used a lot. And
yeah.
But some schools, like we have some big school districts, like we're out there monthly.
Mm-hmm.
But most commercial buildings, like, you're going to come out there monthly.
Okay.
And that's where we try to stand out as a company, because most of the industry will go out there quarterly or maybe twice a year. And we're still, like, if we can come out monthly, like, we want to come out monthly.
Okay.
And that way it ensures, like, your elevator is going to be in good working condition. And
sure.
It really just keeps the service calls down to a minimum.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got that. And then when it comes to the elevator parts, or maybe the type of elevator that an organization has, one of our members has, is there any brands or equipment that you're not able to help out with, or are you able to help out with any and all? What does that look like?
Well, we definitely want to go look at
Sure.
all of it, because I'm just naturally curious about what everybody has. But I would say probably 85% of the elevators we can work with.
Wow.
And it's really just some of the relatively newer elevators from certain manufacturers that can be a little tricky.
Okay.
But that's typical, because it's newer technology, and they try to make it a little more difficult for others to work on.
Makes sense.
But any of the, like, older stuff for sure is,
That's great.
like, we can definitely work on it.
So when in doubt, just have you come out and take a look, because
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah.
There are those big names out there, but that doesn't mean that you have to just use the big name to come out and do your repair.
Right.
Humble Elevator can help with that.
Yeah. And if we can't, like, I can maybe I can help recommend a different company if you're not happy.
Okay.
But we want to look at it and just kind of give you the best advice we can give you.
Great. So if a church or a school or somebody else needs you to come take a look, do you do free inspections? And by that I mean, do you go out there and take a look at everything for free? Maybe consult them, I think is a word that you said. Do you do that for our members?
Yeah, totally free.
Okay.
Yeah. If their elevator's down, they want us to go fix it, then we'd send the mechanic out,
Sure.
and that would be a charge. But just to go talk to them and look at the equipment,
Great.
That's me, and it's totally free.
That's awesome. Great. And now on the flip side of inspections, when we think of inspections of an elevator, we've got the sticker that should be on there that says it's been inspected. Do y'all do that? Do you go out and actually inspect the elevator for the sake of being up to code?
The way the elevator inspections, so by code you have to have a third-party inspector and the mechanic.
Okay.
And so we send our mechanics out with the inspector.
Great.
But it's two separate things. So the inspector really can't work on elevators. All they can do is tell the mechanic what tests to put the elevator through, and the mechanic's doing all the work.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how those two parts come together.
But
we can organize it.
Yep.
We can.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we do that all the time.
Great. And then in terms of Humble Elevator and yourself, what do you feel like separates you from other companies out there that do the same thing? What do you feel like are the driving factors of this is why I believe we're different than those?
I would say just how easy. We try to make everything super easy to work with, easy to get a hold of us. We do what the contract says.
Okay.
So if it says monthly visits, we will be out there every single month.
Great.
We're quick to get repairs done, and just, that's a lot of my job, is just communicating with the customers and letting them know, giving them updates on if they're waiting for a part to come in or anything like that. So we just try to make it super simple. And if we're your maintenance company, then hopefully you don't have to think about the elevators too much, because we're handling everything for you.
Well, I love that too. I think elevators can sometimes be just, like I said at the beginning, if it's going up and down, then we're good. But if you have somebody behind the scenes like you and your company that are really monitoring how things are going, if they've got a monthly or quarterly maintenance program set up, then instead of just waiting for it to stop when you have congregants in there or something like that, and then all of a sudden, we need to fix this, you're able to help out and say, hey, here's what we need to do in the next year. You probably want to start modernizing some of these things.
Yeah, and that's another part of what I do is, because usually elevators, they're not just going to get old and stop working.
Right.
You're going to see signs along the way that, your door operator's starting to act up a little bit. You're having some board issues. The wiring's getting old. So you can see the history, if you keep track of it. And that's another thing we do a good job of. We email job tickets every month or every time we go out there to the engineer or the property manager or whoever wants it. And that's a good way to keep up with, it lists what the mechanic did, any recommendations. And so it's just a good history of what's going on with your elevator.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think it's beneficial that our members got to hear how you're here to help them. And we hope that our members will reach out to you and want to use you as a resource and as that consultant to at least take the first steps in seeing maybe what could be done to help. So we appreciate you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Co-op Connection Podcast. For more information about Bill and Humble Elevator services, please visit our website, www.churchcoop.org.
you.